Yelling and screaming. NFL Week 12. Got my boy Sean with me here. Sean, what's up? You,
How's it
you
going?
doing all right?
How's
Doing
it
all right there,
going?
bud?
Yeah, I'm doing good, but got a little echo there, so they kind of replayed your audio.
Oh, that's not good at all. We will have to figure that one out. Here we go.
You are echoing like crazy right now for me.
I don't know why that would be. But hey, this is what happens when you're live. Let me see if we got anybody in the chat. Otherwise, I might have to pull up the live video here and see for myself.
Yeah, it's yeah, it's like
Let's
replaying
see.
your
Let's
audio
see.
after like a 3 second delay. Then it just like replays all the exact same audio.
Do you have the YouTube open?
What was that? I do not. I do
All right,
not.
it's only coming through one time on the live stream.
All right. Well, I guess it's just me. Somehow, then I got the YouTube open somewhere.
That's the only thing I can think
That's
of.
me. Good job,
All right,
Sean.
well, as you can see, we are killing it today, guys. Interesting week of NFL in week 11. Sean, the big thing I had, can we stop with the Chiefs now? They're not going to go
I
undefeated.
I will. I mean, I never thought that they were going to go undefeated. I expected that they were going to lose, but my expectation was that their loss would be in a situation like yesterday, where it means a lot more the for the Bills than it does for them. I mean, realistically, like one loss, 9 point game. It wasn't. It was a one score game up until that late Josh Allen touchdown, and so like realistically, it doesn't really say much about the Chiefs. Like, and they've won all the one score games up until this one. And for them, every year that they beat the Bills, they win the Super Bowl. So I don't think that they have any problem with it.
I am over the narrative that this is, the new dynasty because people don't have to keep talking about it. It's done. They are a dynasty. They're going for their third Super Bowl in a row. And I dislike that we overlook the flaws that this team has. The media does a great job tearing down rookie quarterbacks and troubled teams. And I feel like Mahomes really hasn't gotten what he should have for playing as poorly as he did and having all the role players around him because there aren't many stars on this Chiefs team. The role players really propped him up. And if he was any other quarterback, he would have gotten more flack for that.
But see, here's the thing. He's not any other quarterback. And the difference between him and any other quarterback is those three Super Bowl championships and those Super Bowl MVPs that he's got under his belt. So we're talking about him in regular season situations where, like, over the past 4 or 5 years, like, I mean, like, has it really mattered too much? Because at the end of the day, when it comes down to crunch time, the man performs when he needs to. And more importantly, even in the Super Bowls that they lost, and in the Super Bowl they lost, the one at Tampa Bay, you saw him put everything out there on the field. You had this man basically throwing passes like while laying horizontally in the air. I thought he was doing parkour or some other shit like in the air, trying to get the ball to these guys. So he's going to put 100% of himself out of there. Realistically, after last year's drama with the whole Taylor Swift thing, and kind of that additional notoriety that got added to the Chiefs, we now obviously they are, by our standard definition, a dynasty. And so realistically, like, he doesn't have anything to prove, right? At this point, people are just comparing him to Tom Brady and how many championships can they win? Well, guess what? They're 9-1, and their only loss was technically two scores, but realistically a one score loss, to a very good Bills team who still hasn't been able to beat them in any significant games. So, like, if you're him, does it really not matter that much? Because I don't think it does. I think he's still sitting there going, all right, we still got a championship to win. This is the 1 week we brush it off. The Bills had to play exceptional in order to get that win, and they did. They ended up playing better, and they got the win. But at the end of the day, it doesn't mean too much in the regular season when your team is still, after this loss, the number 1 seed. And if they win out, which they have a very strong chance of doing, guess what? They'll still end up being the number 1 seed and still end up with that bye with this Bills loss. So I never thought it meant anything to them, and I don't expect them to look at this game as anything. I'm sure they're not quaking anywhere in their boots.
The other thing that's got me kind of fired up this week is that only having 3 games in the afternoon slot is unacceptable. There are 32 teams in the NFL. The NFL needs to not have 6 teams on bye. If you can't fill out a quad box in the afternoon slate on Red Zone, you're doing something wrong. More and more, that's the way that people are consuming their football, is in whether it's the multi-view on YouTube TV or on Red Zone, and 4 games fit on one screen. So not having at least 4 games in the afternoon slot is completely unacceptable to me. Oh, you still eating that delay, huh?
I agree with that. They're going real heavy on these early games, and you can split them up and get much better viewership. Yeah, it's kind of weird because I heard you, and then it was a nice long pause, and then I talked, and then I didn't hear anything until like 3-4 seconds later. Yeah, it's getting a little weird on that on the audio playback. How am I doing now?
You sound fine. I haven't had any issues. The YouTube stream is clean. I don't know what's going on here.
Well, we can't go a week without some technical difficulties. Almost all on my side. So.
All right. So to combat this delay that we are having, why don't we go 1 for 1 back and forth on these games? You can chime in. There'll be a little less yelling and screaming, a little more back and forth debate style. Thursday night football, Steelers Browns. This is a game that has the potential to be really, really tight. I think the Steelers are the better team here, especially right now. But the Browns have played some inspired football. This is a division game. They play the Steelers tight. I think this is what I want for Thursday night football. Steelers are going to be my pick, but I could see this being a 1-possession game. I could see this being a field goal shootout. Not horribly concerned about them losing ultimately, but this is one that could get away from them if they're not careful. Now you're muted. Man, we are just blazing it. You're muted.
How about now? Can you hear me now?
Yep, we got you loud and clear.
Good. All right, let's get into it now. I think everything's kind of fixed up a little bit. Nope, still messing up. Anyway, realistically, the Steelers should win this game. Their defense has played exceptionally well. I mean, they held the Ravens to a game that definitely wasn't a great offensive performance, and they were able to get all the field goals. And realistically, they're a team that can win off of making 6 field goals. So I think that as long as they play a strong game against the Browns, play their defense, and let Russ just manage that offense, they're gonna win this game. So even though it's a divisional game, I still see that I still see them being the favorites in this game, and I would expect them to win this one out.
We could probably skip this next one. Oh, there's the echo now. Now I can hear me in your mic.
Yeah, how weird is that?
Man, we might have to. Hold on. Nothing has changed in the setup. I have no idea.
Yeah, it's definitely me somehow. I don't know what the hell happened, but
All right, Chiefs Panthers. We don't have to talk about this. This is gonna be bad. There's no real story here.
I got one quick story though. I got one quick
Go for it.
thing. I got one quick thing for the Panthers. It seems like everybody that they play that they beat, they're gonna get their coach fired. So I'm just excited to see how the rest of the season goes and how many more coaches are on the hot seat because they lose to the Panthers.
Well, you heard it here first, guys. Sean says Andy Reid on the hot seat.
I don't know about Andy Reid being on the hot seat per se, but I will say a lot of other coaches playing against this Panthers team with nothing to lose. Realistically, they might be looking at their job to lose.
Vikings, Bears coming off a heartbreak here. But what I want from the Bears is for them to continue building on the things they did well. Played better than they had been in the first week without the coach that many blamed for their problems. Let's keep developing on that. The Vikings are a team you can pass on. The Vikings are a team you can run on. I don't think they beat the Vikings. Defense is banged up, and then the players that were out there starting looked a little suspect against the Packers. Give me the Vikings, but I want to see the Bears continue to build.
I definitely agree with that. I think that the Vikings are a team that you can get some ball movement on, but the Bears are too inconsistent with their ball movement. I think at the end of the day, this is the Vikings games to lose. It is a divisional game, so obviously that's always got some implications going on. It's also in Chicago, so that definitely plays into it. But realistically, like the Bears still have some pieces that they need to get in place in order to get to that next level. And I'm just my one thing is that the Bears don't fire their head coach after this season. Saying this season is a disappointment, they have their last three quarterbacks, Mitch Trubisky and Justin Fields, and now Caleb Williams are starting their seasons and have the potential for their head coach. People talking about them being on the hot seat. First two guys, head coach fired after the first year. And so if you want a quarterback to develop in a system, you want a system to develop, and you want to really gain some camaraderie and gain some cohesion in the organization and on the team, you got to keep people around. So my only thing for the Bears is don't fire your head coach after the season.
Yeah, I mean, probably a good rule of thumb for a lot of teams, but NFL's reactionary. What do you got on Titans Texans?
Texans. The Texans, looked pretty solid against obviously a terrible Cowboys team. I expect them to do the same thing against the Titans. They're also not a very good team. Their run is, Pollard is okay, but they really aren't a strong running team, and they got no pass game to save their lives. So, I mean, I don't expect this to be any different than the game that we just watched on a Monday night. And the Texans should be the favorite in their division. If anybody didn't have them as the favorite, obviously, they had the best record, but they should still be the favorite in that division over the Colts, in my opinion.
And speaking of a team that's going to get blown out, the Colts play host to the Lions. No real home field advantage to speak of here. They play indoors. The Lions play indoors. Who knows who the quarterback is for the Colts in the second half? Richardson will be out there until they're sick of him again. But this Lions team is the best team in the NFC, and the Colts are not going to get in the way of that.
The Colts are definitely just not a organization that is settled on how they're going to be able to move forward. I mean, Richardson can throw. It's incredible to watch him throw a ball 30 yards down the field, 25 yards down the field, 40 yards on the field, pinpoint accuracy, and then he can't get a dump off pass to save his life. It's crazy. I mean, I expect the Lions to just run right over to them in this game. The Lions are definitely, in my opinion, the number one offensive team in the NFL. I'm going to put them over the Bills. I'm putting the Lions over the Ravens as well, as far as offensive teams go. Their offense is just incredible. I mean, their Jared Goff has been incredibly accurate, minus the 1-5 interception game that he had, and still won. And then you look at the run game, and they got a two-headed monster, and either one of those guys could be a starter on almost every other NFL team, hands down. And both of them, in a tandem, it's like either any week they could either both have 100 yards rushing or one have 100 yards rushing and one have 70. It's crazy to watch them play like that, and it just opens up the entire field for them to just play loose. And so I'm going to take the Lions obviously in this game, but I'm going to take the Lions as the number one team right now in the NFL, in my opinion.
Yeah, hard to argue with that. Laying 7 points on the road against the Colts, that doesn't feel like enough. Give me the Lions. Lay all the points.
I think
Patriots,
it's just 'cause it's a
Dolphins.
divisional game too. They always
It's
not
not
divisional game.
divisional.
Sorry, it's a
Well, blue on blue.
blue on blue. Yeah, not a divisional game.
Patriots,
Dolphins
Dolphins
divisional game.
is a divisional game. We have differing opinions on this one. I think this could turn into a shootout. Drake May settling into that offense. Patriots still have no weapons. So I don't mean shootout like Drake May throws for 400 yards. I mean Hunter Henry has 10 catches and the score stays close. I do like the Dolphins to win this game. Obviously, with Tua back, you're second best team in the division easily. I'd like to see the run game kind of get on. Mostert hasn't looked great. Obviously, limited time with his starting quarterback, but I think they can beat the Patriots here. But I do want to see Drake May continue to take those steps forward.
I definitely think that you're right about that. Drake May is starting to settle into the offense, but seeing the difference in play between the Skylar Thompson Miami Dolphins and the Tua Miami Dolphins, who are a incredibly a good offensive team, I just don't see how the Patriots could all keep up in this game. Drake May settling into an offense where your best player again is Ramondre Stevenson. Yes, you've got Hunter Henry as a tight end, but realistically, like we're talking about a defense that's going to just literally pay attention to two guys and not have to worry about anything else. And there is no way in hell that the Patriots defense is going to stop the Dolphins offense from scoring 30 points. Like, I just don't see how they could do that. Their run game is so much stronger. And with the field being able to be open because people are actually scared of the ball being thrown by Tua to two of the better receivers in the NFL, like, I just don't see how this game could be any closer than 7.
I will say there will probably be more Patriots fans in the stands than Dolphins fans. Hard Rock continues to be just an abysmal place to play football.
That is because there's a lot of old retirees from New England and Florida. That's about it.
That's also true. Maybe not breaking news, but somebody might have to hear this. Tommy friggin' DeVito is going to start at quarterback for the Giants probably the rest of the way. Our boy demoted to third string because he's got an injury guarantee in his contract. So we have seen the end. I don't think DeVito is the future in New York, but he's at least got a little bit of that New York swagger to him. Maybe he'll sell a few more jerseys before they misdraft a quarterback in the middle of the first round. We are, of course, talking about the New York Football Giants, who are hosting the Tampa Bay Bucks this week, who aren't in great shape themselves from an injury standpoint, but should have all the firepower they need to beat the Giants.
The Giants are just not a team that I expect to do anything. The Bucks definitely should win this game. They need this win. The Giants, obviously, we see that they've officially thrown the towel. I mean, I was hoping to see a Malik Neighbors as Rookie of the Year, have that type of season. And I'm just not getting that. Realistically, like, let Tommy DeVito come in, let him have some fun, and figure out what to do moving forward, because I don't know why they signed Daniel Jones, period, but like it's just not worth it. It was never worth it, in my opinion. I think some of these quarterbacks, everybody was looking at these contracts, and this was that year where a lot of people got contracts that they should not have gotten to, especially. But like, I'm looking at some of these contracts and I'm going, really? You guys are taking guys who were barely above 500 in their not in their careers, but in the previous season, and going, yep, this is my guy. This is the guy for the rest of my this is my franchise guy. This is my guy for the next 5-10 years. Why?
If I'm the Giants front office, I'm taking the union grievance. I'm locking him out of the facility. There's too much risk. He has no trade value. at all. Like the only way his contract is guaranteed is like $23 million on an injury guarantee. But if it happens on team property, they have to pay it. Like I will let the union file a grievance and I'll settle on whatever because it's going to be less than $23 million. Like I'm locking him out. I'm locking him out of the facility. I'm not dealing with it. And if I'm Daniel Jones, I'm
just let him just
down the stairs.
Put him up. Do what Dak's doing and just put him up in the booth. Do what Dak's doing. Just put him up in the booth.
I think I'd rather have Daniel Jones than Dak Prescott next 5 years. All right. Speaking of Cowboys, Commanders, this line is 10.
That's a hilarious line. You're not wrong.
You don't see double-digit lines often in the NFL. Like the Chiefs are 11-point favorites over the Panthers. Like this, like 10 is a big number, and is it enough? I think the Commanders might win by 10.
I think the crazy thing is that it's the consistency that the Cowboys have had of losing by 15, 20 points. It's not like this hasn't happened to other teams where they've had a bad season, but it's the consistency of losing by 3, 4, 5 scores. It's the first play from scrimmage, them giving up a touchdown that gets called back, only for 2, 3 plays later for the same fucking thing to happen. Like, who are you? What is happening? Why are you guys paying? There are guys who right now who are on the streets who would put more effort in than the guys are putting in on that damn team. 100%. Like,
talking about
your practice squad out there?
Bomb.
Crazy.
I don't have anything else on this game. Obviously, I guess I could kind of bridge it. Jaden Daniels needs to keep performing at a high level. This is a great spot to put up some stats. Bo Nix right behind him for Offensive Rookie of the Year, as far as I'm concerned. So he needs to take advantage of this crappy Cowboys defense and put numbers up. Put those video game numbers up on him.
Honestly, both of these teams, the Broncos and the Commanders, are both in really, really strong positions right now for playoffs. Both of them have really good quarterbacks right now who are doing everything they need to do in order to win games. They're playing against two teams who are in turmoil right now as far as quarterbacks, as far as running backs, as far as real receiver play. Teams that defenses are just not doing anything. If both of these quarterbacks this week should have either a Lamar Jackson-esque game where you have more scores than you do incompletions in the whole game, or they're going to put up a very, very, very high passing yards games. Like you can't really do anything else other than that. Both of these are divisional games too, so typically you're going to have the teams playing each other a little tighter. But I expect that both of these games are going to be. They should be comically bad. The Raiders are just in shambles. I would love to see them actually just stump the Broncos here and give AP some love, but I don't see that being the case. The Broncos are looking like a better team, and Washington is hands down the better team. So, I mean, I see these both being pretty bad games.
I doubled down today on Bo Nix to win Offensive Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
I had a bet from preseason, but it's still sitting like 3-1. I figured,
what's Jaden Daniels looking at?
Favorite minus 150-ish.
That makes sense. Okay.
Yeah, so I doubled down. Like I said, I had a smaller bet from preseason and just placed a bit larger at 300. I like what Bo Nix is doing, and I think if the Broncos make the playoffs, there's no way he's not Offensive Rookie of the Year. But the NFL loves those feel-good stories. Watch them be like Offensive Rookie of the Year, the year of the quarterback, whole bunch of crap.
I love the idea of having a but realistically, like unless the Broncos had the same record as the Commanders and both teams won 10, 11 games, like then I could see something crazy like that happening, but he's just too accurate. He's just been too accurate, and Broncos got to beat the Chiefs too in this division. If the Broncos have to win out the divisional games for that to be the case, because the Commanders are going to end up beating the Giants. They're going to beat the Cowboys. They're going to, Their games against the Eagles has already been tough. So like, I think that really is the only way he wins Offensive Rookie of the Year.
You know who's not going to win MVP or Offensive Player of the Year or Team MVP or best quarterback on the field in another game he plays this year? Jordan Love. Jordan Love, who stats are stats, right? And it makes up the whole game. But if you take away 4 catches for 150 yards to crap-ass Christian Watson, Love has fewer than 10 completions for barely over 100 yards against a Bears secondary that the Giants secondary could have played for and looked better. This Bears team was devastated in the back half, and other than them losing Christian Watson, Jordan Love, the second coming of Aaron Rodgers, the third coming of Brett Favre, did absolutely nothing. He continues to be uninspired. He continues to go out of his way to try to lose them games. The Bears won this game. And the fact that they actually didn't saved Jordan Love's ass, because this Packers team is bad. It is bad in general. It is worse with him under center. And I don't think they have what it takes to compete the rest of the way. They might be the 4th best team in this division.
You know, I think that it's funny because I've not been a Christian Watson fan. He's obviously Jordan Love's favorite receiver. But I've never really felt that he was that great of a quarterback. 13 for 17 is not bad numbers. Obviously, you know, you have the 1 pick, but you're right. I feel like he just isn't playing inspired football. Like, he's existing more as a game manager and getting this. This is a win, but realistically, it was barely a win. They should have won this game outright against a devastated Bears team. I agree with you on that. I think that the Niners are going to be hungry after not getting the win, you know, on their end, and having the opposite happen to them. And they're going to be hungry. I think that their problem is that their receiver core just has no identity at this point. I can't tell any given week who's going to be their top receiver, because it shouldn't be CMC. It should be a wide receiver. You have skilled wide receivers on that team. So I just don't understand how that's the case. Like, when I'm looking and they're going, oh, Jawan Jennings is going to be the guy this week, I'm going, what the fuck? Like, what is happening here? So I think that they still need to get it together, but I feel like they're going to be hungry this week. But playing against the Packers at home, you know, after squeaking out a win in a divisional game, the Packers might play a little inspired, but I don't know, man. This is one of those games where, like, realistically, if you switch their records, I believe it more likely. Watching the Packers play and knowing the 49ers from last year, if you switch their records and said the Packers were 5-5 and the Niners were 7-3, I'd be like, okay, that makes sense. It shouldn't be the case.
I would be, if I'm the Packers defensive staff, I'm looking at what DeAndre Swift did to the Packers, and I am scared to death because Christian McCaffrey's coming to town. And a hobbled, injured Christian McCaffrey is better than DeAndre Swift. So, you know, they gave up almost 100 all-purpose yards to Swift, and he was not the focal point of that offense. I would be terrified. Give me the Niners. Cardinals Seahawks. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was agreeing with you.
Cardinals Seahawks, big division game here. This might be my game of the week. Seahawks 1-point favorite. This matters. This game matters a lot for this division.
Huge game,
because it's looking more and more like only one team's getting out. So this could be the inside track. You know, obviously the Niners are probably still the team to beat. The Rams have looked good, but you win this game here if you're the Cardinals, and you're kind of in the driver's seat.
I think the Cardinals were really already in the driver's seat in that division, just from from how they've played in the last 4 or 5 weeks. I mean, realistically, you watched them close out games incredibly. Their offenses seem to be clicking. Connors has been running like a madman. They're getting the ball down the field. They're getting the ball to the tight end. The better teams in the NFL are going to be teams that are using all of their receiver core, including their tight ends. And just seeing Trey McBride out there and seeing how well they're getting the ball downfield to him, it bodes well, I think, for the Cards. On the counter to that, the Seahawks have had some tough breaks here and there, but Gino's been playing. I think he's been playing pretty solid overall. I've seen some inconsistencies in their run game. So, I'm still trying to figure out if Charbonnet or if Kenneth Walker, like, who's really the guy. Because, I want to say that it's, right now it's Kenneth Walker. But realistically, like, Charbonnet has the skill set to be that guy there. And so, like, I just want to see their defense play well against a offense that seems to be clicking right now. And I would have to see the the Seahawks offense, really come out and play strong, make the field goals that they can make the field goals and close out the game. And that'll tell me that they're at that next level. Realistically, they just haven't shown me that they're there yet. So I still think that this is the Cards game to lose. But playing in Seattle is not something easy to do. So that 12th man, that's the loudest stadium in football. 12th man, it's always going to be a contributing factor. And we'll see how Kyler does. I think Call of Duty. I saw a Call of Duty commercial with Kyler Murray in it, and I was like, just play into it, kid. Play into it. But yeah, every week I'm going, is he going to collapse? Is Call of Duty going to get to him? So I haven't seen it yet. So I'm hoping that it doesn't happen. Good luck to him this week. I hope that they can pull it out against the Seahawks.
Maybe he dislikes the new omnidirectional movement in Warzone, and he's just going to keep it all on the field till the season ends. Eagles Rams. This is Sunday Night Football. I'm intrigued by this matchup. Eagles 2.5-point favorites on the road. The Rams have been a team that have held my attention all season. Jared Verse, obviously, probably the defensive player of the year, defensive rookie of the year, not player. That's Watt still. Defensive rookie of the year on that side, though. And they've looked good. They haven't really been blown out anywhere. They've played tight, obviously dealt with a lot of injuries on offense, but they're kind of back, right? So they got to settle into what that looks like. The wide receivers have kind of eaten the last few weeks at the cost of the run game, which has kind of fallen off a cliff. But if this Rams team can put it all together, it's almost too late to make a run. But if they can get it straight here, this is a pretty good team. Now, hosting the Eagles is not really like a get right spot. I think the Eagles are also rounding into form here. Having A.J. Brown back, I feel like that kind of pecking order on the outside is finally settled. I like the Eagles to win here, but I'm not sure I can lay the points with anything meaningful.
I think that realistically, the Rams aren't going to take the win in this game. And the only reason why I say that is because the Eagles have rounded out right now and are just playing like madmen. The thing is, even if you're able to stop them in the first half of the game, let's say it's a one-score game coming through the half, the second half, Eagles are scary. They are scary. And the Rams, realistically, I just don't see their offense being able to keep up with the Eagles offensively. Given that they've stepped back from the run game, I've seen that. And, Cooper Kupp should be eaten this week. Atwell has been doing well. They've been hitting some of the other receivers and Parkinson getting the ball. So I think Stafford has to round into like true form, like the Stafford that we've seen him over his career, in order for them to have a shot in this game. But the Eagles defense is still solid. And my defensive rookie of the year is Quinyon Mitchell. He has been locking them down. Last week, you couldn't tell him nothing. Like he was lights out on Terry and on Scary Terry. Like it was just he's been definitely on ball, definitely one of the best D-backs in the league. And then don't sleep on Cooper DeJean. My guy is doing his thing as well. So the Eagles defense, their secondary has definitely gotten better as they played over the past couple weeks. Their defensive line is still one of the stronger in the NFL. They have a good rotation in the D-line and linebackers to keep people fresh. And, they're a scary team in the back half of the season. So they have a chance. I mean, depending on how the Lions play out, the Eagles have a chance to be that team coming out of the NFC as well. You know, it's gonna be a. I think the Eagles should win this game, but it's gonna be great to watch the end of the season round out.
I got a question for you. Did Scary Terry get his nickname from people watching him run intermediate routes?
That I do not know. I'm assuming Scary Terry could have been a name that came when he was a kid, or when people start seeing him play football and go, "Damn, that dude's pretty scary." I gotta look it up. I'll get back to you.
Yeah. Let me know, because his intermediate routes leave a lot to be desired for me. Monday Night Football, Ravens and Chargers. This is pretty good matchup here. I said last week that the winner of Chargers and Bengals had a shot, and that the loser was eliminated from the playoffs. Bengals kind of limp into their bye week here. I'm going to stand by that. I think the Bengals are done. They got supercharged, finished. But I was wrong. The Chargers are not still alive. The Chargers are not in it. And it starts this week. The Ravens are going to whoop their ass. And I think only 2 teams come out of the AFC West for the playoffs. And it's not the Chargers.
I will say this. Right now, there are 3 teams in the AFC West in the playoffs. Unfortunately, none of them are the Raiders. So technically, the second best division in the NFL would be that division. Obviously, the number one is going to be, the NFC North, because that's that division's the worst team is a 500 is a 500 team. But I'm gonna say right now that the Chargers have the chance to beat the Ravens if the Ravens can't get it together. I don't know what happens, but for some reason, whenever they play the Chiefs, or whenever they play the Steelers, they are not. Lamar Jackson just has not figured it out against those teams. And so, if the Chargers can replicate some of what they've seen from the Steelers, which they have some pieces on defense that can kind of work on that. If they can do that, if they can keep the Ravens at bay, they have a chance to win this game. They might be they might be one of those teams that you don't really realize until it's a little too late and they've already snuck up on you. And so I would say that the Chargers are probably going to be that team that's in from the division. I don't know how the Broncos are going to fare out in the rest of the season. Really I think one of those 2 teams, you're right, is going to be the one that comes out of that division behind the Chiefs. But I expect the Ravens to win this game. It's just tough because when they're good, the Ravens are unstoppable. When they're good, when they're on, unstoppable. But when Lamar's shaky, he can have a game where he throws 180 yards with 3 touchdowns, and then he has a game where he throws 180 yards, no touchdowns, and suddenly that offense doesn't look nearly as potent as it did before. So, I mean, against the Steelers, he did not look nearly as good as he did in a few games before that. So I'm really glad I didn't make a bet like that last week. But I will say this: I expect the Ravens to win this game. I think that they're going to get back to rare form. They're going to get back to true form. They're going to get that ball into Derrick Henry's hands. They're going to let that offense kind of settle in and then open up the field and get the ball downfield. And I expect they can do that against the Chargers. So I expect them to win this game against the Chargers this week.
Sean, I got a message from Club 602's lawyer. He just wanted to remind us that we are contractually obligated to let you know that this is the Harbaugh Bowl. And if you didn't hear that yet, you'll hear it 1,000 times this week. It is completely irrelevant, but it's great for TV. We'll get the brothers hugging it out. And I'm sure we'll have the last time they were on the same sideline and it's Michigan's friggin' national championship win. And yes.
How many times
so we did it? We did our part.
How many times they're going to show that Super Bowl? How many times are they going to show? How many replays are going to show that Super Bowl during the game?
Over 5.5.
Over 5.5.
Over 5.5. It's like we get it. We get it.
How long are they going to talk about the blackout? How long are they going to talk about the blackout?
I think Tirico kind of just makes like a joke. Oh, I hope the lights don't go out on this one. Like,
Oh God.
some bullshit.
I mean, well, the Chargers are playing in a stadium that's open air, so it should be fine. Should be fine. They should get all the net. They should get enough light. Maybe.
As we alluded to earlier, 6 teams on bye: Falcons, Bills, Bungles, Jaguars, Saints, and the Jets. Quick note on the Jets: they fired their GM today. Cleaning house. I am not familiar offhand with Aaron Rodgers' contract situation, but it is feeling like if they can't get rid of him, he is going to not very gracefully retire. I think this is going to be a full reset for the New York Jets.
He is so toxic that everybody's going out. And honestly, I hope that these guys that leave go coach somewhere else and have their best career years outside of Aaron Rodgers, and the Jets continue to make terrible decisions and look like shit. I really do. I genuinely do. They just make poor decisions.
Robert Saleh should go be a college coach. I think his rah-rah bullshit would work really well in college.
Let him go be the Raiders defensive coordinator.
Yeah, I mean, he'll be a fine coordinator, but I'm just thinking like from a head coaching standpoint, like he never should have been an NFL head coach. He even on Hard Knocks, like he was like buddy, like he just doesn't feel like a head coach to me. But like send him to like friggin'
See, I don't know. The only reason why
he'll win like 10 games.
The only reason why I can't say that is because every team and energy is different. Organizations can be built differently. Like McVay obviously was a younger guy when he started off head coaching, and so the players were similar to his age, and it was more relaxed. It was a more buddy environment. I think that it's definitely different if your team sucks. Yeah, right? Well, if your team sucks, then you can't be buddy. Everybody's like, well, he's not doing his job. But if your team's good and you're like that, if you're Mike McDaniels, and Mike McDaniels is hella laid back, granted, he's a fucking genius, but if he's very laid back, and if his energy if his camaraderie with the players is good, but he's also a good coach and the team wins, then you don't make that argument. You don't say anything. Same thing with Cliff Kingsbury. Kingsbury was a good coordinator. He's a good coordinator now, but he was not good as a head coach, and he ran away. So, I mean, I can't really say that. It's realistically, it's the energy from the organization. The Jets organization has terrible energy, and if I'm Saleh, I'm glad I got out of there and got my guaranteed money.
Yeah, they need to stop guaranteeing coaches money.
I think coaches at this point are trying to are asking for guarantees in their contracts because they're getting fired after a year. Getting fired after 2 years. And it's like, all right, cool. Well, how am I supposed to build this team? How am I supposed to make this team into a contender if you guys fire me after 5 weeks? Like, what is happening? How am I supposed to do that? I don't
know. If you haven't played our new game, Chain Link, please go do so. Not just for me, but for yourself. It is a blast. Essentially just pick them. All kinds of sports, all crazy domestic soccer leagues from all over the world. And we have a new thing called challenges. And the one for Thursday night is who will have more time of possession, the Steelers or the Browns? What do you think, Sean?
The only reason, this is tough because on the one hand, I see that the Steelers, I think they have the better defense. And so I expect that they're going to get a lot of 3-and-outs from the Browns. But at the same time, if you score fast, and they have the ability to do so, if they can score fast, if they can get up early, then the Browns are just going to have the ball for a long period of time. So I'm going to go Steelers.
I'm logging my official pick right now because it's that easy.
It is that easy.
Steelers, baby. Give me the Steelers.
Boom.
Chainlink.st. Check it out now. Drop me a line if you do, and maybe I'll sweeten the pot for you. But no promises. Live broadcast only. Deal expires in 14 minutes.
I do have one thing that I wanted to bring up this week that has gotten me real hot under the collar. The number of missed field goals this season has been incredible. Every week, kickers missing not just one field goal, but like 2-3 field goals. I have not seen this happen in recent years. Rick, do you feel like this has been a year? This has been a year where kickers have really. You've seen how significant a kick can be. It's definitely had more weight.
Yes, but it's for me, it's still an argument that there shouldn't be kickers. Like,
It's
like
called football. If you
okay,
don't kick
well,
the ball, there's no fun.
we could rename it. I don't think anyone's gonna care.
Yes, it will. I will care. All right. American foot. We are not renaming American football. All right. How dare you?
So overall, over like the last 5 years, it's like exactly the same, but it feels really bad. And I think it's because they're
Is it
missing
is it the
extra
same through the?
points, and they're
Well, not just that. Is it through the same number of weeks or is it full season?
full season.
So right now we're on pace for it to be the same average number of kicks for a full season, or have we already had enough misses to fulfill what last season's misses were? Because I feel like that's where I'm seeing.
So same rate. I'm looking. I'm
Okay.
looking at numbers right now. It's way worse from close and better from far.
Okay. So kickers are able to kick 50 plus yard field goals at a higher rate, but they're missing 30, they're missing 30 and 40-yard field goals. Okay. Well, then that definitely is going to make it seem more regular because realistically, like when a guy's kicking a 59, a 58, or a 60-yard field goal, most of the time it's not necessarily the game winner. Sometimes it's like end of the half, or they just don't want to punt. But these 30 and 40-yard field goals that they're missing, it's like, whoa.
I feel like you could fix a lot of the vitriol toward kickers if that's your goal. I doubt the NFL spends much time talking about place kicking, but if you get rid of the extra point entirely and make it all 2-pointers, it takes that risk out where then you can focus on it like an individual position. It's like, okay, I need a guy who can kick from 40, right? Like anything inside, we're going to go for it. Anything beyond 50, we're going to punt. Like, get me a guy who's automatic from 40 to 50, right? If I'm a GM.
Isn't that what every team is doing? Isn't that what a kicker's supposed to do? I don't think anybody looks at a team and goes, this guy is not, this guy is supposed to, I mean, this guy's supposed to be automatic from less than 40. Hell, he's supposed to be automatic from less than 45.
Yeah. I mean, I don't,
That's every
I don't
team.
even know anymore what teams expect from these guys because some of these guys are really bad. And their shelf life is so low, Justin Tucker was like the be all end all next Vinatieri automatic Hall of Famer guy. He sucks. Like if he finishes this year the way the first half of the year goes, he's off my board for Hall of Fame. Like you can't have a year. You can't have a year like this on that pedigree.
But if this is his last year, if this is his year that he retires after, and he has a year that he goes out on this year, maybe that's the reason why. Maybe he's doing exactly what people do at the end of those careers. Is that they fall off.
But if he's got guaranteed money coming his way, he's not going to retire.
I'm not retiring either. I want you to cut me, bitch. Cut me. Give me my money.
I feel like if the team is counting on you, right? Because there are teams that are built, the Steelers, right? You have to have a field goal kicker. Like your team is built in a way.
It's a team that does not score touchdowns, but they win from kicking.
They win games, right? So if you have a kicker you can't count on, you have to rebuild your team. You have to approach situations differently than you would otherwise. And the Ravens, obviously scoring a ton of points this year, have a lot of weapons on offense, but historically, in the very recent past, have been a team that relies on this field goal kicker to win games.
I mean, so they win that game if he makes those kicks. They win that game if he makes those kicks. So.
Down, right? Because there's 12 guys on the street right now who would have hit both those kicks.
Yeah, but I bet you there's 100 billion people who would have. There's 7.39 billion people who would have missed it.
Yeah. Did you see the kid on College Game Day last weekend? Some girl got picked to do it and asked them if she could have her friend do it for her. They're like, yeah, why not? And McAfee puts like $800,000 on it, like $400K for charity and $200K for each of them. And they're just, giving this kid so much crap, giving the girl crap. Like, you guys still gonna be friends after this? He lines up, doesn't even pace up off the ball. And they're like, oh, I don't like when guys do that. Like, walk it off. This guy's a soccer player. And he crushes
it. Yeah.
No doubter. Like, no pressure, no doubter, just nails it. And it's like, if there's a college kid drunk in sneakers on the game day set who can hit a 39-yard field goal, no problem. It is unacceptable for my NFL kicker to miss 2 kicks in the same game. That's it. That's all for me.
You know what? Honestly, I can't argue against that sentiment. The only problem is that kid has no fear, which means that every week he'd have to show up to that game drunk and be drunk for 3 hours on the sideline. And you know what? I don't think any NFL owner would be okay with that, because then it becomes a liability. Who's that guy, Dallas, who was on the sideline for fucking, what team was it? For the Cardinals, who's just the hype man? That's what that guy is supposed to be until it's time to kick the ball. Or
I mean, I don't.
We need to start stretching out. We need to start stretching our legs here. We need to start finding some more people to get some of these kicks. You know,
if I could kick in the NFL and hit 71% of the time, yeah, sign me up. I will practice every single day to hit 70% of my damn kicks. It's their job.
You know, it's true. You're not lying. It's their job.
But hey, our job, sadly, not podcasting, but it could be if you like and subscribe and comment on our videos. We appreciate our live viewers. We appreciate everyone tuning in after the fact. Check out everything that the channel has to offer. There might be new fun stuff you don't even know exists yet. Of course, check out Chainlink.
Yeah, we want your feedback. We want you guys to contribute. The more that you give us, the more we can give back to you. You know, we've been really fortunate to have done this for long enough to be able to pace ourselves now, where we can get through all the games and have some more side commentary and things like that. And so we want more. You know, we want more from you guys. We want you, anything you guys want to talk about. We've been talking about doing segments on the uniforms, doing segments on some of the rule changes. I know early on we talked about a lot of it. We talked about, Skip's corner, which didn't work out very well because obviously he got fired. But, there's so much more that we want to be able to give you guys, and so much that we can get from you guys. So we'd love some feedback from you. Any contributions are great. And otherwise, we'll keep doing what we're doing.
Thanks for joining us. This was Yelling and Screaming. Enjoy NFL Week 12. I'm mirrored again. It's one of these. I'm at King of Lakemore everywhere.
At KS Flash.
I think you're right.
Slow, and slow. At KS Flash.
Thanks for joining us, guys. We'll see you next time. Peace.